Once again, it's your friend Sizwe, and I want to welcome you to What They Do. What They Do. What They Do. What They Do.
Curry chicken.
What they do.
You heard that?
You know what they do. In Miami, it's a slang meaning what's up, what's popping, what's going on. And so today, we say what they do. Next guest, one more again. I know this Reggie a long time. And he's multifaceted singer-songwriter. He has a mass band, a Jouvert band. They call it Pure Freaks. My brethren. Hey, yo, Big George. What they do?
Yo. Nice to be in the house with my big brother / small brother. You know what I'm saying? Loving the house. Well, I'm father.
What's good, man?
Everything just
What
normal.
they do?
What they do. That's what we do in Miami. That's what we do.
Listen, man, you call me and say with that speed. Right? Say, yo, Sizwe, I'm ready to come on.
Right.
So, you know, tell me, George, what you want to talk about?
We're talking about everything. We're talking about Miami vibes. We're talking about the Soca events. We're talking about music. We talk about everything. You know what I'm saying?
So a little background is you used to sing.
Yeah.
You're a songwriter.
Yeah.
You have a Jouvert band.
Mm-hmm.
You just do party.
Yeah.
Right? So where can we start? Let's start with the artist thing and how you pivoted into songwriting and other things.
All right. Well, I started doing music from when I was like 10, basically, you know what I'm saying? And from there, it was like, back in Trinidad, I was like Jungi. I don't know if you know about Jungi Boss. Mm-hmm. Jungi, I used to do freestyle with Jungi.
Jungi have a big song this year.
Ziggy. They were, you know, these are the people around my age.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So at that time, it was just playing Chiquito before he died. If you know what Kiskadi label.
Of course.
He teach me the ropes of freestyling. So for those who don't know Chiquito was the guy from Kiskadi label who sing 10 love enough in eyes, 10 love enough in die. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So this is where my era of music start coming. You know what I'm saying? And also just listening to music, period. Just the love of it.
And so then you reached Miami by way of New York.
Yes. New York was the first place I touched down. I stayed there for like at least 18 years.
Yeah.
From then I migrated to Miami. Yeah. That's what it was.
And you set some roots here. I think I met you in a performance in a show. I don't know if it was a show where we do together, but you did a stint as a bona fide artist, and then there was a crossroad there.
Right. It was with I think Dave and them guys.
Oh, Dave Frederick, Sean Darcy.
Yeah, Sean Darcy.
Dragon.
And these kind of things. Yeah. But it wasn't too hype. It was, I met Victorious when I first came to Miami, and he was doing beats, and I just like, hey, go and just do something with Vic. And from there, that's where like the idea of singing started coming along.
Okay.
When I touched down in the US.
Okay. And so then you wrote some songs, and then again there was this crossroad where maybe it wasn't fulfilled.
Yeah, it was.
Right? Was it a fulfillment issue? Was it just like, I could do other things, or?
It was, I could do other things. And the reason why is like, what Soca is on behold of, how Soca runs and the artists are, how they survive in doing Soca, wherever the case is, it wasn't much promising for me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to secure however I make my bread and butter with a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? So it's not saying that there's a lot of artists out there, if you keep on going with your dreams, that it won't happen. It's just that the timing wasn't for me to just keep singing and waiting for a payday or whatever the case was. You know?
Is that a fundamental issue with soca, or is it define music, the music business alone?
For the music business, of course. Because the kind of music I listen to from then till now is seasonal music, and seasonal can pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? Because one season you're hot, next season you have
Throwaway music.
no money to pay the bills. So you have to keep constantly keep on writing hits in order to feed your family. So as a go-getter, it was for me to just stay on my track by secure it and do it as a hobby. You know what I'm saying? And even though just help others fulfill whatever they want to do. So you know what I'm saying? So I never lost interest. I always behind the scenes helping other artists fulfill theirs, you know?
Yeah, that's a fact, because every maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I might get 5 voice notes from you, all of which are songs.
Right.
Ideas for a song where you say, well, Sizwe could, do something with this or whatever the case is.
100%.
So I appreciate that. Although, I think that you oftentimes tell me about how you're going to do this, and you're going to come through in the studio and you're going to do this work, and and I ain't see it yet. You know? That is also a soca thing, or that is a George thing?
For now, it's like a George thing. You know what I'm saying? I will keep it like, it's a kind of George thing. It's a kind of George thing. You know, I wouldn't dog him for that. That is true, 100%. Because, with how busy our life is going and how things happen, you want to make sure you're secure with whatever you're doing. For me, my finances is 100% where I had to focus on. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of times that when I say I come in and link you, it's like, extra, you have more extra money. So I'll make the...
I take that.
That take what happens. So, but if it's like, for me, it's just the timing. I just sitting down and just having like a whole day or some days to just sit down and just write and let me just perfect it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's what it is.
The soca platform, from where it is you came from to today, right? Do you recognize any change? Are you happy with where soca is going, or where soca is situated, or where do you see?
That's a real good question.
Yeah,
it's a real good question, because on thinking about it, is like soca in the past was more story-like. It have a point A from how we end up from here to here. Now we just here. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I choose to call it jingles, because it's not much lyrics of how it all started to where you at. So you're gonna come in, you will get some soca songs that it reached we played it right way. I wanna just anybody or
yeah. Take your time. Cause you know it recording.
We in a party, we drinking, we waving flag, we jumping up, we whining. But nobody say how we reach to the party. You know what I'm saying? And I think like for everything that when we go at an event or a party or wherever, when we sing, it's supposed to have like, why are we singing from point A to point B? Like why
do we have our hands in the air?
Right. So most people, like singers and stuff from the past, will always tell you how this problem start, or how this joy start, or how we reach by the truck, or why we jumping by the truck, or whatever the case is. Now it bypass all that and we buy the truck. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy.
Is that because you old and young people don't need to hear all that story?
Well, that's part of it. I wouldn't lie. I am old. But the whole point is, you can listen to R&B music, you can listen to soul or whatever the case is, and all have a meaning from beginning to end. So I find we reach an era where we cut off all of that and we just there. You know what I'm saying? And it's a new generation, and a lot of, with the new generation, you don't need too much of a meaning, because the instruments always carries the music that whoever singing, or if somebody just scrabble a word, the instruments take that wherever the younger generation wanted to take them.
Well, we live in a space where everything seems to be a little microwaved, right? Where we want it quick, right? So the Instagram stories are, 60 seconds, or right, the attention span is maybe not as what it once was, and so maybe that's why soca has kind of And I wouldn't say, I don't know if I agree with the soca. I don't have no story again, because it had tune where people just make that are hits, bonafide hits, and it had story.
Well, definitely it have certain stories that a couple of soca songs, but a lot is just fast and skim through and just reach is more hook than more explanation. The hook is repeated like 5 times. Then the verse gonna repeat one time over and over and over. And if you see, as I said, as a person who passionate for music or whatever, I will see it. But a person who not passionate I'm not just the kind of person who, when I write something, I just want it to just be out there for a second and it have no meaning. Now, why George write this song? You remember it had a song that I write, Nana. Remember Nana?
I don't remember.
All right. Nana was...
I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
But check Nana, inspiration came from, I needed a brand new song. I needed a brand new rhythm. I went by the Baptist church and I heard the pastor them, they was preaching. The people them started jumping. The bell they started boy ringing. In my head I start with this singing. When I come up boy with a rhythm. Na 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 na. Ba-dang dang na 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 na. That's why I say it's a story. It could be short. It could be long, but give me something that I can relate to. You know what I'm saying? But I reach the point, as they say, I'm old. I can't accept any and anything.
There is this. I think this old thing does exist, right? This old thing, but I think that the old thing is also necessary.
It is,
right? Because that is where the continuity does live, right? Because if you don't listen to me as an old man, right, then maybe much of the integrity of the music will leave, right? Because we don't have the elders to talk, or
the
maybe
culture,
people not
the culture
listening.
out of whatever you're making short is still relying on that past, that history.
Yeah.
So it have to exist in order to even move forward. Because when you listen to Bungie, you listen to Marshall or whatever, all of them still have a story. You know what I'm saying? All it is the elders is certain people, certain things I like, certain things I don't like, but that's none of my business. But to each his own. But it must have history to whatever you're doing now.
So I asked you if you are okay with where soca is. Is your answer no?
Not really. I think it could do much better and it could have more effort into it. It could have much effort. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? To each his own, as I said, but it's just my opinion.
There was a bacchanal here in Miami during Miami, not here in Miami, but here in the States, right? During Trinidad Carnival with my boy, your boy, our boy, the world's boy, Trinidad Killer.
Oh,
right?
Oh.
And this rhythm issue and jumping on a rhythm and not to rehash that, but do you have a position on the rhythm industry and where we are? Like, there was once upon a time where the rhythm thing didn't exist in soca,
right?
And then it became a thing, and now people are, I don't know, managing what is allowed and not allowed on rhythms. And I just don't remember, and I could be wrong, I just don't remember that was such a thing. Like, a rhythm was a rhythm, man.
I think like it always existed. The reason why I say that, because even the old songs where you hear from the past,
the dancehall rhythms,
if dancehall rhythm or whatever, soca rhythms or whatever, if you do sing it over right now, people are suing for, you know, saying for writing on a rhythm or whatever. Yeah, exactly. But it always existed. It have a law for it. So the thing about it is, like, most people in the islands who sing soca, it wasn't a problem for them because it's not getting bigger than the original song back then. But if it do get bigger than the original song, it becomes a problem. But once
we're not talking about a song, we're talking about a rhythm.
No, but the rhythm I'm talking about. Lord Nelson could write a rhythm, right? But Lord Nelson say my lover. My lover can rain right through. But nowadays, if a young person jump on my lover and the rhythm beat and everybody love it or whatever the case, it becomes a problem. Because Lord Nelson gonna jump up and say, wait, it's my rhythm? This is my rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes a problem anyhow you take it. So even with Killer, for me, it's not a problem for me because music is music. We do music and we do rhythms. And I think like if a person he feel good and he ride the rhythm or whatever the case is, he entitled to make a song, do his song or whatever the case is. But when it reach mainstream, it becomes a problem. Because you're a killer with Nicki Minaj now. Now, you overlapping the beat now, you know what I'm saying? You going clear. So people will question that.
I don't know. I think I don't know. There was some talk about these guys saying like, yo, the zest thing, or they didn't want nothing to do with the zest thing. You didn't want nothing to do with the zest thing. Right? And all have a big rhythm, and you didn't invite the king on the rhythm. And he say, this is kind of what I've put together. It might not be true. Right? And he say, well, nah, I ain't taking that. You know? And some people are saying that don't matter, this is business. And you had to do the business right. And some people say, but he wasn't doing the business right all the time.
He wasn't doing it. And it goes from Trinidad all the way to here about the business, what was said that he does, that he have for, it's like a hypocritical kind of vibes to dong it and then go on it. You know what I'm saying? And I find like, all right, if this is you, stay you, but music is an elevating vibes. So you could dong certain things from the beginning and then eventually say like, I could see myself on that. And it show a part of growth. You know what I'm saying? But the way how it put on social media is he trying to dominate wherever that was. So now Killer come on it is a different story now.
I hear some talk. I mean, I find this to be a unique time in soca. I hear some talk about I ain't a good spirit.
Oh, good.
And I hear that story.
I try not to hear it.
That is a diss. I hear that is a diss.
So I heard.
Yeah.
Not me say.
So we dissing in soca now.
I think we are. We are.
Is that good for soca? Because like I think in modern spaces people talk shit. There's there's have issues and it's come out and but it's all part of the music, right? But we have kind of there was some talk about cussing in soca and now there's dissing and we didn't really have these things in when we was coming up in the soca thing.
Nah.
Is it good for the genre? Right? Is it in the time of what you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it is good for the business. It is good for the business because we always had this
Okay.
with Relator and Crow and all of them. There was this in each other, right? In Kaiso, Extempo.
It was Kaiso and and then Extempo and then but they tend together and whatever.
Let me just take it.
It didn't seem like
right. So let me just
war.
take it out of soca for a second.
Yeah.
Jamaicans just do it.
Yeah.
And it does make more money doing it. So a little friction with artists talking about this and that, it goes a long way with soca because it make people more tune in to Bacchanal.
Yeah.
Because soca is Bacchanal.
And we like the Bacchanal.
And we love Bacchanal. That's why I'm drinking this from here. Ain't a good spirit. Kill me dead as a Baptist.
Yeah, G. So listen, let's pivot a little bit to the band. Going from a musician, artist to a band leader, right? Is that a hand-in-hand thing?
Well, it's a long story behind Pure Freaks as doing Jouvert. It was, my mom died at least like, 8 years ago. And what happened is that the first time I get back to Trinidad, I was an alien. You know what I'm saying? I get back to go Trinidad after my mom died.
I hope everything is secure.
Yes. The eagle must fly. But anyhow, the thing what happened is that when my mom died, my mom used to do Miami Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. So after she died, I finally reached back Trinidad after 30-some years. I came back and from what I had an experience because my aunt and them did a kind of kiddies carnival for her kids and them who she was accustomed to be doing for.
Okay.
And I was thinking about like, yo, I don't want to be into Kiddies Carnival. I don't want to do Kiddies Carnival or whatever the case is. But I enjoy seeing the kids having fun. And my mind was like, what could I do to continue her legacy in doing this? And that's when I came out with Pure Freaks.
Okay.
From that trip to Trinidad, and from there, I started doing my own thing, but in memory of my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we developed this Pure Freaks, and to me, I know you a long time, but to me it was like just one day all of a sudden it's Pure Freaks, and it's our thing. It was like, it didn't seem like it had some new birth or some evolution. It just became like this thing, and I see in Pure Freaks, and then I see in George as the man behind it, like I see damn,
that just came from the trip. It just Pure Freaks. That is it. Nothing else. We move with Pure Freaks. Jouvert we doing. And from there it was just like it was the thing. That's what I moved with. But now I changed the name now and I'm going with a different vibes now.
Why is that?
I think growth, and the Pure Freaks was Natural Freaks, and it was my cousin, Marvin. And it was Natural Freaks, who was a big name in New York. And it was not carrying his name, but taking the freaks with the pure. And I just feel like it's time for a change.
Okay.
And...
So it wasn't that it was some friction, it was...
No, it was no friction. It was just time for a reboot.
For a change.
A reboot.
Yeah, and I also recognize that, again, we talk about this old age thing, and the ladies in our band probably is not freaks like how they was, they probably a little... I heard Charlemagne God say, vintage vagina, like it's probably a vintage freaks. Huh?
Take your time. We had freaks in the band. Well, hey, to each his own, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think an old freak, a new freak, all freak is freak, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, that's how we move.
Yo, a disclaimer again is George is my friend.
Hey, you have to talk the things.
Yeah.
If you can't answer me now, don't call me and tell me later, I was going to ask you this, but I don't want to hear that. Ask me now.
All right. Cohen Dubois. That's like your family, and you guys, right? Like, there's a lot of layers to you, bro. So do you do any writing with Cohen?
Yeah.
What is...
I do certain things with Cohen. I also give Cohen a lot of ideas. We was going to Orlando.
He wouldn't be vexed. He wouldn't be vexed to hear that.
No. It's family, Stay short, man. All right. Anyhow, we was going to Orlando. My cousin for life, and I came up with Bacchus.
Okay.
Your name's pan Bacchus. Ready for it now, Bacchus. And then he turned it in to the monster it is.
Okay.
Period. So just like how I give ideas and he build or whatever the case is, and we go on and on and on like that,
Yeah.
And from there it was like every year we talk, I listen to whatever he have, I add to whatever needs to be added. He might take whatever, he add it to whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we operate. That's how we operate. We have a bond that nothing can come between, and I just be there for anything that he needs concerning music.
So you still very much attached to the production and writing of music today?
Of course.
Yeah, even though you've kind of moved past.
Back scene.
Taking a back
I'm
scene.
back scene, but I'm still present. In music where you're hearing, I'm still present. I'm still present.
Yeah, so George, I was talking to Clem the other day, right? And I was trying to say to him, like, is it me, like, and it might just very well be me. I find these parties are just boring, like, and I don't know, is it me? Is it the DJs? Is it the party itself? Like,
I think it's a bundle. It's a bundle of, it's a whole big package of the wrongs. And the reason why I say is because in Miami, they kill the same events over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know if you see it, but the same repeated events with a different name, it keeps happening over and over and over again. It's not no planning.
What does that mean? They just repeating the same event over and over again.
You don't
same
give
DJs. What is
same,
it?
Same
venue?
DJs, same person doing the events. It don't give it time to breathe. What I find is you gotta give people time to miss an event in order to bring back an event. Let somebody be impatient. 4 months after, 5 months after, I'll do it again. But once you're repeatedly doing an event every week or every other week, it's the same DJs, same everything, same people, same everything, you know what I'm saying? So I think like...
But it only have but so many DJs.
But you have to spend your money to make money. So you have to take time to perfect your craft, revamp, and come with a new team. New York, Trinidad, when you go parties, it's a new kind of feeling you get. Even if you're traveling or whatever the case of the people in Trinidad, keep going because it's all inclusive. It's all this, it's all that. But every parties you go in Miami, everything you have to pay. Period. It's not no all inclusive. You have to pay for each and every event. So you pay this week. Next 2 weeks you go and pay for the same party again with the same people again. So it's a repeated kind of phrase they're going through. And they need to break out. They need to air it out, go back, find some new resources, sponsors, whatever the case is, and come up with a new idea.
Will you find that people don't do a certain thing because the consumer doesn't want that thing? So if there's no all-inclusive, is it because men just don't want to do all-inclusive, or is it because the consumer doesn't want an all-inclusive?
I don't think it's the consumers in a way, because, the majority of these consumers get in free. The majority. So, but if I get in free, I come in your party 24/7. In order to grow, you have to find consumers who go pay for experience. True or false?
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? So, you're making a party and you're expecting 1,000, but you get 200, but out of the 200, 150 is the people you know. How you making money? What's the sense of doing it? You know what I'm saying? And people going to say, oh, the party was good or whatever. It was good on your expense because you never made money. You made money off the bar, but you never even pay yourself for labor. Because you had 2 months of planning a party. What did you pay yourself? What did you pay yourself?
Back to Clem again, only because it's fresh and it just released, right? But we had this conversation about this thing about making money and the Matsin, which I like. I think we need to put that on a t-shirt. The Matsin. But and I was trying to say, well, is the Mats not Matsin because the consumer just doesn't want to pay? Do we live in a culture where we just want everything for free and we don't business about quality, or we don't business about whether these performers are actually good or not good? We just want our party and we just come through and take our lime and whatever it is. Like what?
But, you see, I had
or is it the promoter who's not putting forth a good party?
I have to tip my hat to Clem because he constantly keep putting himself out there to try and win over Miami. But Miami is not New York City. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a New York where you have real Caribbean, a lot of Caribbean people who will support your party, whatever the case is. We have a small circle. Circle is basically Fort Lauderdale people. Fort Lauderdale people, if you give them this week, next week again, the same people. So your money is making on people from one small community. One or two might come from Kendall, Homestead, say one or two places, but you really and truly is one community you're partying with. And how much money you can make over and over with one community. You're just gonna burn out yourself. So in order to win over Florida, I think you need time to rethink how you do things and find new ideas and new avenues and sponsors or whatever, so you're not burning all your cash out. So it will give a huge help. So then you could bring artists or DJs that not playing in Florida. You know what I'm saying?
We started this. I started this conversation saying like, "Is it me? Am I old?" But I remember having a time in parties like Big Fat Fish,
Up to
right?
the time.
Where like, and shout out to Jono,
Jono,
where
Hybrid, Jules, yeah. They're still pumping.
party,
Greg and Mikey and them fellas, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I remember going
Lime Key and all them places.
Lime Key, of course, but
Right.
in Hollywood we used to go by Sosta,
Sosta, Ginger Bay.
Ginger Bay, them thing, and party was vibes. I mean I'll go to the parties and I'll go and I'm not out as much, but I'll go and from the time I reach I'm ready to go, right? And I'm not sure if the answer is promoters need to take a break and revamp. You know, I just think it might be a little bit deeper than
To
that.
each these parties that you go, you don't see the same people you see all the time.
Yeah, but that's natural, isn't it?
Oh,
because
very
I'll be
natural,
living
very natural.
if I live in Boston,
Yo, bug. Somebody say,
I will bounce up the same people. Not so.
actually, though. When you're in New York, I just always bounce up new people every time I go to a party.
Yeah, but you don't live in New York.
Yeah, but when I was living in New York, and I was saying, so it's one community. These events holding in one community. So it's like when they go Rise and Toast, Jono again. We take Jono. What's Jono again? When they go Rise and Toast, you see different faces every time. Your promotion is different from your Fort Lauderdale promotion. So it's what you're bringing to the table or what you have to put out there to win your fans or your customers. So Jono and them make it every Sunday. So every Sunday, the venue is beautiful. So if you don't go, I don't go, so that's half of Miami or half of Fort Lauderdale. Whoever coming from town, people from Miami then tell friends, family, whoever, that this is where it's going down on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So I think like promoters like myself and others need to find great venues, find it solid, try and keep it in that surroundings, and build like how Rise and Toast is going right now. Because up to now, for me, Rise and Toast is the most successful venue and event that keep going constantly every week. And the experience, as I said, the experience is phenomenal because people just come knowing about it. You give your rap, you give whatever. And this comes in with sponsorship and knowing people. Because sometimes you may, as a promoter, you might think you're supporting everybody. But then at the end of the day, you're not getting the support to push the venue or the event that you want. So you have to go out and meet new faces and people who will invest in your craft. You have to go out there and sell yourself. And if you sell yourself, you will stay where you are. And that's it. And that's why I can't do an event every 2 weeks or every month or every 3 months or whatever the case. I had to go to the drawing board and think before I put all my money because nobody want to lose. But if I'm losing, 2,000 can't pay for my time. 3,000 after all expense paid can't pay for my time. You know what I'm saying? Because as I said, when you wait 2,000 or 3,000 after event, how much weeks your promo you put into this event? Is it fair to yourself? So you just like abuse.
I forget who we were talking to, but they came and we talked about the DJs, right? And DJs having a role in some of these parties being lackluster, right? But I find that could be true, might be true. But there are also some DJs, especially in Miami, these are some young DJs, right, who's setting a tone that is inspirational, right? Any DJs that you're seeing in Miami that they're gonna be lit, they're gonna be like something to have to deal with.
All right, upcoming DJs in Miami that I would like to work with in my events or whatever the case is. I heard about Shanlet. She's good.
Shanlet.
DJ Shima, which is my friend wife. Shima is good.
Money
Ever
Vibes,
fresh, ever fresh, young Mali Vibes. DJ Brandon.
Brandon.
I think that's Gary Enforcement's son. Yeah. So exquisite been there for a long time also, and I find she should be further than wherever she at right now. You know what I'm saying? And these are the things like me. I like J Rocker also. That's my boy. You know what I'm saying? I try to bring in.
J Rocker was on the show the other day.
Yeah, I try to bring in as much local DJs to my event. Sometimes it has be over my budget that I know I can't afford, but because for me when I prefer go for DJs and artists, and the reason why the cost is a great deal, and the reason why I say that is like I would try to get too much, and it's too much for the cast that some don't play and I'll still pay them. But who it hurting?
You.
Me, of course. I like Dorenzo. Dorenzo been with me right through from the beginning.
But Dorenzo, we talking young. Sorry, Dorenzo. Sorry.
But I
no,
just,
Dorenzo's my boy.
and that's
sorry.
it. And that's it. And I think like these are great DJs, house arrest. These are good DJs. But sometimes, as I say, you have to use everybody in and out. And these are real great DJs. When you put them with the young, it could create a good experience in an event. You know what I'm saying? I love working with all DJs. And for my events, I just always try to put everyone on. Your price is your price. I'm going to tell you. As a DJ, your price is your price. Whatever it is, I just afford whatever you tell me is your price. I don't try to break down a DJ because you come to work. And when you come to work, you deserve your pay. And that's it. Just like an artist. When you come, I just make sure, me, Big George, not Pure Freaks no more, House of Bacchanal, I just make sure your envelope is before you go on a stage.
Yeah.
Ask me back up. Am I lying? One time. Everybody, friend, mother, sister, everybody have to get paid. Because in the promotion business, you have to make sure your name is solid. Nobody wants to come and here to play in an event and don't get paid. You know what I'm saying? And I think like Miami, we need to go back to the drawing board with events.
Well, I remember when we used to do events, and I used to do events with Kwesi Chris and Chet and Cell Construction and stuff. And
big up Kwesi.
Part of our thing was making sure that everybody get paid before we get paid. Like those bills were paid.
I like
right?
that.
You didn't come to our party by us.
Mr. Cass.
Right? Yeah, you didn't come to our party by us, and at the end of the night we say, well, boy, we ain't really make, like you will get your envelope, and if we bust, we bust, and I'm not sure that that's happening today. I think promoters are looking at their door, and if the door make, then people get paid. If not, then there's some talk about maybe next week. I will see you next week, next month and thing like that.
But some DJs who just come naturally to play for free just because it's that party, Yeah.
Is that a problem, you think?
They're going to take the laws, but they want to be promoted. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like a lot of artists going Trinidad and singing for free. But they have one or two little hit songs. I could point that out. They have one or two hit songs, but they're not getting no money when they go Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? I have people at them, they can't even buy food. But we're going to leave
Wait. No, don't try that. Wait. You're saying that there's artists in the industry who have big songs and can't buy food? When they go, come on, George. Come on.
Listen to me. If you was at the beginning of the show, I explained that soca music is seasonal. Seasonal meanings, if you don't know, it is like once you have a hit, you get paid for it. if you don't have a hit, you get pushed back because a promoter say your services are not needed. So if your services are not needed,
Well, if I had a hit last year,
if you had a hit last year and somebody really like you, they're going to bring you back for that second to hit the stage, but they're showing as not a gain for them because they don't have the one who had the hit this year to sing for them. So you know what I'm saying? So the ones who had the hit last year and not this year, they will get bypassed. So you're giving up your time, and this time is something that you cannot get back. That when you take a trip for 2 and 3 and 4 weeks to an island where you're waiting to perform and had to go wrong to ask people, oh, I could sing in your bar, I could sing in your concert, I could sing in your party, and this is facts. This is facts. I see it myself. You know what I'm saying? You had to ask people to sing in the event for free, hoping that you get recognized and the next person.
yeah, I was going to
book
ask you. So, what's the benefit of that? What is the benefit of a guy, a soca artist, or a male soca artist, or a female soca artist?
That you can be recognized in that free event, that you move the crowd, that somebody go book you for the next event.
Yeah, but those and you promoters talk to each other and say, nah, like I get Joe for.
Well, they will always compare price, you know. They will always compare price. But you just want the forward. And once you can move the crowd and people say you're moving the crowd, you'll move forward.
Yeah, but then you'll have people who say, yeah, but you are taking home 500 TT or 1,000 TT, and I wouldn't pay you more than that.
Well,
that happens.
These are the sacrifices you just have to make to let your name be known.
Earlier we talked about, you were talking behind here, we was linemen, and you said, Sizwe, this ain't no industry, you know. It's not really an industry. Can you talk about that? Like, talk more about, it's like, what do you mean it's not really an industry? Like, it is an industry?
It's not profitable for all the lower artists. It's more profitable for all the on-top artists.
So the Marshalls and the
The
Kess.
Marshalls and the big names. The big names, you getting booked regardless of what. No matter what you getting booked. Even if somebody have a hit from Grenada, he's been added to a Marshall or a Kess or whatever the case is. So your show is complete. Now the lower artists, we don't need that. Because most people following the Marshalls and the Bungees and the all kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So the lower artists will be more in the shows that you don't know about. That you're still going to enjoy yourself with, like the Cooler Fete and this and that, or whatever the case is, because the budget is not that high. You know what I'm saying? So you prefer go with the lower artists because it's a less to keep your money.
Dent in your pocket. So by you saying there's no industry to a point where like it's only a select handful of artists who gain something, how do we bridge that? How do we get to a point where we are willing to pay our artists what they're due? And I don't mean like pay them with a bottle of Johnny Walker, you know, or pay them with.
Usually that do it sometimes.
Huh?
Usually that do it sometimes.
Usually it does it sometimes.
Usually it
but I'm
does
saying
sometimes.
that's crazy, bro.
It's oh boy, that question. It's a people thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, as I said, you give music where people could open their mind, people go invest back into you. So it's up to the artist also, and it's up to the promoter to push the artist also and give that newcomer that space to grow. So even if you book me this year and then next year, I'm not sure, see, I did good business this year, you did good last year, I'll give you the chance again this year.
Motok sat here and said, Sizwe, a hit is a hit. A hit is a hit. Right? He said,
Man with pride.
man with ride. Right? He said, a hit is a hit and you can't stop that. Right? Do artists just need to focus on making great records and less of the fight and less of the talk? Just focus on making good records and you will get through? Or is that bullshit? Like, you can make whatever hit song, but there is a blockage and it's a 50-50.
A hit is a hit depends on who is controlling that hit. if you in control of your hit and you have the connects to let that hit reach ears, then it will be a hit. But depending on people, when it's a hit, sometimes don't be a hit. And a lot of people in this industry is depending on people to make it a hit. See, Moto is my little brother. I love him till that. Moto keep pushing because Moto creates his own music. So he have more leeway than the average person who had to pay to go to the studio and do. And that was the biggest gain Moto could ever did. He promotes and he produce and he do all these things so he could carry his own weight. You know what I'm saying? But it has so much hits that's never been heard right now. A lot of music, what is being released years, now it's now getting released because it goes in the right hands. So a hit is a hit until it reaches the right hands.
Okay, but my brethren, Classic, sat right here, right? And Classic, who is, I mean, I can't speak more highly of him, right? But he has a record this right now called Dancer, right? That he produced. I don't know if he produced it, but he managed it, right? And it's over a million views on YouTube, 1 million views on Spotify, right? And his position is, I did that without Trinidad, without the backing of like what you said, who a hit might be a hit because who backing it. He did it. He pushed it and he made it what it is.
He pushed it
right?
himself.
He pushed it himself.
Right.
And he made it what it is today.
Right.
And so does that speak to what some of the artists like Moto who's saying like, yo, you gotta do your work. Right?
Of course.
And stop complaining about this or that. Just do your work. And that Soca Mafia talk and the rest of the talk about this one or that one is it might have some validity, but at the end of the day, a hit is a hit.
And as I said, at the end of the day, Moto does his work because he does everything for himself. He push everything for himself, his music, everything. But you go have a lot of people who out there that is doing music don't have the studio, don't have this or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So when it reached, you saw your boy, he made 1 million and some viewers.
Yeah, Classic Dancer.
Classic.
Yeah.
But no help from no one.
No help from nobody. Right? He did that.
And that is
a big dancer. He's a big dancer.
Oh yes. I know this song.
He's a big
song.
dancer.
Yeah, all right.
He's a
big song.
When he
big
rum
song.
hit you, he's a big dancer. I'm telling you, he's a big dancer. That's a big record, man.
Yeah, it's huge.
Huge.
And it's a good because that youth, he had some songs before, right?
Yeah.
And his songs was big, so you have a great following from before also. And for me, it's just like, as I said, you need the right connections, or you have to give your whole self into music to make things happen.
Okay.
You
Your
have
whole
to
self.
whole self. It can be part-time or whatever the case is. And with the discouragement of where music is right now for artists and stuff, with when they do one good song, look at this artist. What happened to him? Linky First. Linky First had one of the biggest songs. What happened to Linky First?
I don't know.
It's a good question. Linky First, where are you? The reason I say this is like people with talent, sometimes no matter what talent you have, is the people who is pushing you or giving you chances. And I find a lot of people don't give these artists chances. So even with one song, the second song, if it attract a certain set of people, fall off.
Well, let me just say, first of all, Linky First could be going through a lot of different things, right? And we don't know what going on with Linky, right? And so I don't co-sign what happened to you or nothing like that, right? And Linky, anytime you're ready to come on what they do to answer George, right?
Hey, I never say nothing bad about Linky First. I
Right.
just saying when people do hits,
Yeah.
the after is where, as I say, it could get forgotten.
Yeah.
So Linky was big when he hit that song. But then after, what happened? And it's not about he falling off. It's like the chances what people has give. As I say, you go to the bigger artists than the smaller artists. He was just end up as one of the smaller artists who basically does just get put to the side till you come with the next hit.
Is there anything that we can do to get, and I ask this question often, to get soca on a global platform, right? Outside of maybe the island where you're from, you know, where people could hear soca and know that is soca, right? I find still in 2025, I might meet somebody and I have to still introduce them to the genre, right? Is there a point where you think, you know, like we were talking about Nyla and how Nyla might be one of the first people to get a Grammy and stuff like that, right?
Unique style.
Like, is it gonna take a Nyla?
It might take a Nyla. It might take a Nyla because it's not just we Trinidadians or whatever to relate to we own music. Because I was talking to Tara B the other day. That's Brigo's son. I was talking to Tara B earlier today. And, you know, on the mainstream, it's not really too much soca artists from Trinidad hit the billboards like a Alison Hines, like a Rupi, like a Kevin Little. There's people from other countries who sing soca, who let the dogs out. Well, that is Ansem Douglas, but Byron Lee and the Dragonets, Jamaica. So it's like other songs, what sing soca, other countries what sing soca end up on that high platform than Trinidadians themselves.
Does that matter? So what?
Isn't that crazy?
No, well, to me, no, I don't find it crazy. And so my rebuttal to you is, does that matter?
I don't know. Like, for me, it was like the platform what they reach on to let the music be out, to be heard like that. How come Trinidadians, we reach as a people to that kind of stream?
Are you saying because Trinidad is the Mecca of soca and we should be the pioneers and we should be leading that race?
In a way, we should be up there with every other soca that release, but it's something with their melody that reach further because you have a Rupi music, what do you call it? Kevin Little, all that stuff had different melodies, and the promotion of how they did this stuff reach further than soca itself.
I hear that. You know, I had Kevin here too the other day. I'm kind of proud of myself because I could call him now. Right, that episode we coming out soon. But by the time you see this episode, you would have seen the Kevin Little episode. But how much of that has to do with having the proper management, the proper team behind you, the proper planning? And Classic talked about that, planning records instead and not this idea of I just put out a record today. And many of these men in our real tune, if you really look, there are a lot of songs on Spotify and these places whose songs are not claimed yet. The songs didn't claim, which means that anybody could claim these songs.
Anyone,
right? Because the paperwork is not done, right? Like, how much of what you're talking about is less of Trinidad not getting any recognition and more of the business side of soca not being done?
And yeah, as a person who do write music and still sing, well, whenever I feel like, but management goes and an education of what you believe in and what you want to do is one of the biggest things that you should do. Because making a song and just putting a song out there and not registering it and all this type of stuff, you're going to lose bad. You're going to lose bad. And a lot of people is not educated on the musical industry, about what they should do. All they know is creating music. But you need leadership. If you don't understand about something, you need leadership. Educate yourself about it and put yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? And I was just blessed that I get to meet the Marleys and them or whatever the case is, and I was chill with them a lot and I learn a lot from them with the music industry or whatever the case is. But you have to put yourself in the right position and set up yourself right with your music to move forward. Because if not, and you have to have truthful friends around you to tell you, all right, this music is good, this music is shit. What's it there? But here happen. You still can't listen to that if your passion is music. Because what a person might think is shit, it could be a hit. Because you had this Chinese man in China, the one who sing, she bang, she bang. All right, he went multi-platinum, millions of views. Up to now, he sang this song years ago, and it's still a hit right now. When they play it in China or wherever, it's still going. Music have its people. And to the right ear, music sells itself. So whatever you think might not work for your friend or whatever the case is, if you love it, it will work for your other friend and the other people.
But I asked you, how much of what you said is an issue is you not having, the artist not having the right management, the right paperwork being done, right, to help move their music to a level where you can get the sync license in and you can pay from your distribution and all these different things. Because at some point, right,
but
you had to make something.
It's still to educate yourself about the business. And that is your homework. Since you want this as a career, you have to find all revenues of doing things the right way and finding the right person who can lead you to wherever you have to. And that is your choice as a person.
You gotta have vision, your management gotta have vision for international market.
You say your management has to have vision for international market.
Well,
I tell him to pick up the mic from a long time. You know?
but you say international, but your management has to believe in you. So still, when you ever link with a management system, it have to be somebody for your best interest. That's why you hire them.
But still, you gotta have that somebody behind you with a vision beyond the Caribbean, beyond the local market. Because when I say the local market, I'm talking about the Trinidad Carnival, the Jamaica Carnival. Outside of those events, you still want to push your music. So you have to have somebody say, you know what, at this point, we're going to run with the Trinidad Carnival, we're going to run with the Jamaica Carnival. After that, on the downtime basically, where Carnival season is low, we take that same craft and push it to another level.
So with that being said, and hopefully we'll be able to pick up that, right? But with that being said, right, is that the difference between Arupi, Kevin Little, and these guys who made it international, right? And some of us who still fighting for the $1,000 TT or
every soca that reached the billboard, it was catered for the international market. It's the international crowd or in the international ears that push it to the billboard.
But these international management had any...
Not international management. You're having your local management with an international eye or international vision to push beyond the Caribbean industry.
I rock with
the
that.
Caribbean industry not
Makes sense.
as profitable on the downtime of the season.
No, I hear that.
But then you have
So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're saying. And I'm saying, do we need more? Is it going to take this broader perspective, right? Because that's what he's saying, right? A broader understanding of you're releasing music for Carnival, or you're releasing music for Vinci Carnival, or Dominica, or Grenada, or whatever the case is. And then after that, what is your plan? And is your management focused on pushing that music in that direction? Right? I think that's the question, right? George.
Yes, sir.
I scream. George.
Yes, sir.
Listen, man, this was a good conversation. You know, I felt like you hold back a little bit because you called me yesterday where I speed.
At all.
You said, I have something to say. you know. And I said, all right, we're gonna make it happen, you know, come true. You know what I'm saying? But you're kind of, you know, maybe you're shy this time. So, you know, we'll make it so that you come back next time. And, you know, maybe you loosen up by then. You know what I'm saying?
A little punch and a little rude boy.
Yeah.
I'll catch me a Laurel.
My brother, I want to thank you for coming. You know, again, I've known you for a long time, and you're a guy who I see as someone who perseveres, right? Who's able to say, you know what, I could do this, but I'm going to move in this direction and be successful in doing that. And I think it takes a special person to be able to accomplish things, right?
Yes,
who
sir.
set their goal and say, all right, I'm going to do this and then get it done. I think there's a couple of, I think that having an idea is extremely important. And we can't discount the idea.
100%.
Right? However, going past, because everybody don't have the idea. No. Many people don't have an idea.
None
Kevin
whatsoever.
can't even have an idea. So an idea is important. But to be able to move past the idea and to accomplish something, go from something that is static to something concrete, right? I think that is special. And I see that with you. You know, so I just want you to know, on behalf of what they do, you know, that I respect and honor you, and I'm appreciative that number one, you came and gave us some vibes today, but that we see you and we see your contribution to the culture, see your contribution to the industry, and I want you to continue doing what it is that you do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
What they do?
So that being said, yo, I just want to say thank you to Big George. Thank you to you. If you like what you see, you like what we've done here, go ahead and like and subscribe. And yeah, see you next time. You never know who's coming, right? Once again, SizweC, what they do.
Trouble.
Mad.